In task 2, you'll be producing a literary text. And as you can see here, this task focuses on the key concept of creativity. You will see two images. In task 2, you'll be provided with two image options that you're able to choose from. And you'll be asked to create a piece of writing using one of the images. This piece of writing, as you can see, you can probably tell by now, utilizes creativity and imagination based on the image provided to you, as well as the instructions provided by the question in order to produce literary text at the end. So it's more of an informal piece of writing in which you're able to channel your imagination instead of having to restrict yourself to more formal writing as you would normally expect from an academic piece of writing. The criteria being assessed are criterion C, which stands for producing text, and criterion D, which stands for using language. At the end of the video, I will be breaking down each criterion into strands so that you'll have a better idea of what each criterion entails. And the timing recommendation for this task is 35 minutes. So it's the same as the compare and contrast essay for task 1. You're also expected to only take 35 minutes to complete this piece of writing. And this entire task is worth 20 marks, 10 marks for criterion C, 10 marks for criterion A. So as you can see, the instructions are look at the images below, and respond to the prompt. So these are the two images that we are provided. This is image 1. From image 1, we can basically just generally see, you can see a young boy, a young girl inside a dark tunnel. So honestly, it's up to our creativity on what we can determine from this image, as long as it's not too far from the truth. We can say whatever we want. We can say at the end of this tunnel is some kind of canyon, is an oasis. We can say whatever. However, we can't steer away from what's actually present in the image. This is image 1. And this is the image 2 provided. In image 2, we can see a red car here driving. We can see trees. We can kind of see it's nighttime. And this is what we can just basically see from the image. And this is the main instructions for the entire question. Using one of the images, you'll be asked to choose one of the images. You can't write on both of them. If you write both of them, there's a chance you may not be marked because the examiner will not know which essay to mark. Create a screenplay for one key scene in a mystery movie. In your piece, you might consider focusing on any of the following literary features: point of view, characterization, mood, audience, and or purpose. State the image you're using. Use approximately 350 words. And although they say use approximately 350 words, you won't be deducted any marks if you were to go below or above that word count. It's just an approximation to help you have an idea on how much you should be writing to be able to get a decent grade on this task. So the first thing you should do when you see this, you have to first understand what they want you to do. Okay, they want you to create a screenplay for one key scene in a mystery movie. A screenplay is normally something that's present only in a it's kind of a movie script that actors utilize to have an idea on how they should act out a certain scene. So you can see they want one key scene. That means they don't want you to create a screenplay of the entire mystery movie. So you may create a screenplay on the beginning of the mystery movie, the climax, the ending, or anything of the sort. But there must be something that has an indication that this is part of a mystery movie. Because sometimes the introductory scene may be something that could fit within any genre of movie. So you have to make sure that there is some element that shows and points towards the fact that definitely this is a mystery movie. And the literary features, you don't really have to think about it much, but then generally, whenever you write some kind of screenplay or some kind of dialogue, some kind of narration, you would always focus on some characters that have personality traits, you focus on emotions, and you focus on all that, which is just generally the reason why they provide you with this. And the moment you read the instructions, you understand the instructions already, you should quickly, within 1 minute, choose one of the two images and have a rough idea on what kind of story or scene you want to build within your literary piece. You can't take too much time for this because you only have 35 minutes to actually write a piece of writing. So you'd have to take a look at both images and quickly decide which image you want to use, what kind of idea, story you want to portray. So the image that I had chosen is image 2. So we will be working on a piece of writing based off of image 2. So first of all, starting with the idea of a screenplay, just to break down the format of a screenplay. Oh, before that, remember you have to always indicate what image you're choosing. If you don't indicate what image you're choosing, you'll basically just be given 0 marks because the examiner wouldn't know what to base off your essay off. However, during the actual examination, they'll be giving you a multiple choice. So you choose either image 1 and 2. So there's a very low chance that you'll forget to even choose what image you're writing. You wouldn't have to type it down like this. So this really isn't much of an issue. And back to the screenplay. A screenplay usually starts with this thing called a slug line, in which you indicate basically the setting of the entire scene. And by setting, this includes the location of the scene as well as the time. So the time you can see here, it's nighttime. The location is a deserted mountain. So what you see here, this stands for exterior. And there's also the other alternative, int, which stands for interior. So basically the format of writing a slug line is you choose either interior or exterior to start with, include a dot here, and whatever the location of the scene is, a dash here, as well as the timing, nighttime, daytime, whatever it is. Of course, you have to match exterior. A mountain's obviously outside. Let's say the living room, then you choose interior as the slug line. So normally just one slug line is enough because you're only focusing on one scene. You don't have to go further than that. And then starts with generally sort of an action part or a narration, as you may call it. It's something that sort of introduces what's happening. The thing is that we're only focusing on one key scene. We can't have the entire screenplay of the movie. So it's important to have sort of a narration to introduce what is occurring before you start off with any dialogue or anything of the story. So here we can see that Nick was on his daily trip of practicing for the annual street race competition. He was out on his brand new slick crimson racing car. Nick stuck out his head at the window of the car. The night breeze was crashing onto his face, making a complete mess out of his hair. So we can see that generally it introduces what's happening within the scene in the screenplay. And one thing that you can take notice of is that the name of the character, Nick, is capitalized. In the screenplay, whenever you mention the name of a character, you should always capitalize every letter of the name, no matter where you put it. This is basically the action part. And next would be the dialogues. So that when you have dialogues, you should you should center it in the page. The format is that you include the character's name and the dialogue down here. What is seen here, this is called the parenthetical. Parenthetical, you may include any piece of information, action, emotion, whatever it may be that you want to show the audience that you can't really show in the narration part, you can't really show it through the dialogue, but you want the audience to know this piece of information. You could include it under brackets below the character name. You can see there's also parentheticals here, dialogues here. And then if you move this back to narration, dialogues, lots of dialogues and narrations. The narrations are all to the left, while the dialogues are all in the center. That's the main structure with a screenplay. It doesn't really have a particular ending. That's basically the main structure of a screenplay. You start with a slug line, you start off with narration, dialogue, and here and there